If you can't control your emotions, people will control you. Most people misunderstand emotional control. It's not about staying calm. It's about how your mind silently shapes your behavior, your relationships, and the way people respond to you without you realizing it. If you stay until the end, you'll understand the psychological patterns behind your reactions, why you repeat certain behaviors, and how your mind actually builds emotional habits in daily life. Because the real issue is not what you feel, it's what your mind does with what you feel. And most people never notice this process happening. But there is another hidden psychological force that affects your life every single day. Social respect. Why do some people naturally command respect the moment they enter a room, while others are constantly ignored, interrupted, underestimated, or taken for granted? Why do certain individuals seem to influence others without raising their voice, while many struggle for years trying to gain validation and recognition? The answer is far deeper than confidence, appearance, status, or popularity. In fact, some of the most respected people possess psychological traits that most individuals never consciously develop. Welcome to a space dedicated to understanding the human mind and modern emotions, helping people better understand anxiety, relationships, and their inner thoughts. Today, we will explore the hidden psychology of social respect, uncovering the invisible behavioral patterns that shape how others perceive you, trust you, listen to you, and ultimately value your presence. You will discover why respect is rarely given for the reasons most people believe, how subtle psychological habits can either increase or destroy your social influence, and which behaviors unconsciously communicate strength, insecurity, credibility, or self-respect. As this video unfolds, you may begin to recognize certain patterns in your own life, your relationships, your workplace, and even your daily conversations. Some of what you learn today may challenge beliefs you have carried for years. More importantly, it may reveal why certain social situations keep repeating themselves despite your best intentions. Stay with us until the end, because one of the final insights may completely change the way you understand respect, human behavior, and the silent psychological signals that shape every interaction you have. Once you see these patterns, it becomes impossible to ignore them. Have you ever walked into a room, joined a conversation, or shared an opinion and somehow felt invisible? Not openly rejected, not attacked, just overlooked. Someone cuts you off mid-sentence. Your idea gets ignored until another person repeats it. People seem friendly, yet you constantly feel like your presence carries less weight than theirs. If that sounds familiar, you're not imagining it. One of the most frustrating emotional experiences today is feeling unseen despite doing everything right. And what makes it worse is that most people assume respect comes from being smarter, working harder, or proving their worth. But the human mind doesn't operate that way. In everyday life, people are constantly reading subtle signals that happen beneath conscious awareness. The way you respond to pressure, how quickly you seek approval, how you handle silence, and even how you react when someone disagrees with you can quietly shape the amount of respect you receive. The problem is that most of these signals happen automatically. That's why many people spend years trying harder, speaking more, explaining themselves more, and still feel like they're not being taken seriously. What if the real reason has nothing to do with your value, and everything to do with psychological patterns you never realized you were sending? What most people never realize is that respect is often decided before a single word is spoken. It sounds unfair, but the human brain is constantly scanning for patterns that suggest confidence, certainty, and emotional stability. The strange part is that this process happens automatically. People are not sitting there consciously judging every move you make. Their brains are simply collecting small signals and building an impression in real time. One of the most common invisible patterns appears when someone feels the need to constantly explain themselves. They think more information will create understanding, but the opposite often happens. The brain tends to associate excessive justification with uncertainty. The more someone tries to prove their value, the more others begin wondering why that proof is needed in the first place. This pattern quietly shows up everywhere, in friendships, relationships, family conversations, and workplaces. You may have seen it happen after sending a long message trying to clear up a misunderstanding, only to feel even less understood afterward. Or maybe you've noticed how some people can say very little and still command attention. The hidden mechanism behind this is not charisma or status. It's something much deeper. When the brain senses that a person is comfortable with disagreement, silence, and uncertainty, it often interprets that as strength. And once you understand how this invisible process shapes everyday interactions, a much bigger question begins to emerge. How many of your social habits are unintentionally teaching people how to treat you? And this is where the real cost begins to show up. Not in one dramatic moment, but through dozens of small interactions that slowly shape your social life. When people repeatedly send signals of uncertainty without realizing it, their behavior starts changing in subtle ways. They hesitate before speaking. They soften opinions they actually believe. They apologize for things that don't require an apology. They constantly check whether others approve of what they said. Over time, these habits become part of their social identity. The people around them begin responding differently, not because they're cruel, but because the human brain adapts to the signals it receives. This is why two people with similar intelligence, skills, and experience can be treated completely differently in the same room. One person is listened to, the other is overlooked. One person's boundaries are respected, the others are tested repeatedly. What's fascinating is that this process often happens without anyone noticing it. The brain naturally trusts what appears emotionally grounded and becomes uncertain around what appears uncertain. As a result, relationships can become unbalanced, workplace opportunities can quietly disappear, and social confidence can slowly erode. The worst part is that many people blame their personality, believing they were simply born less respected than others. But what they're actually experiencing is the accumulated effect of hundreds of emotional signals being reinforced day after day. And once those patterns become automatic, they begin influencing something even more powerful than social perception: the way you see yourself. The deeper truth is that most people are not reacting only to what is happening right now. They're reacting to emotional patterns that were built years ago and quietly carried into the present. Your brain is designed to learn from experience, especially social experiences. Every time you felt ignored, dismissed, criticized, excluded, or made to feel like your voice didn't matter, your mind stored more than a memory. It stored an emotional prediction. Over time, those predictions become shortcuts the brain uses to protect you from future discomfort. The problem is that the brain doesn't always know the difference between a real threat and a familiar feeling. So when you're about to speak up, set a boundary, disagree with someone, or express an honest opinion, your mind may trigger the same emotional response it learned long ago. Not because the situation is dangerous, but because it feels familiar. This is why some people become overly cautious in conversations, constantly monitoring reactions and adjusting themselves to avoid rejection. What's happening isn't weakness or lack of confidence. It's emotional memory influencing present behavior. The strange part is that these patterns often operate so quietly that they feel like personality traits instead of learned responses. People start saying, "That's just who I am," without realizing they're describing an adaptation their mind created years earlier. And when emotional memory begins shaping identity itself, it can influence far more than social interactions. It can quietly determine what opportunities you pursue, what relationships you tolerate, and what version of yourself you believe is possible. The moment you begin noticing these patterns instead of automatically obeying them, something subtle starts to change. Not overnight, not in a dramatic, movie-like transformation, but in the way you interpret yourself and the people around you. Many individuals spend years believing they are naturally overlooked, underestimated, or less respected than others. What they rarely see is that much of their emotional experience has been filtered through patterns their minds learned long ago. Once you become aware of that, every interaction starts to look different. You begin recognizing the moments when you're about to over-explain, seek reassurance, or assume rejection before it actually happens. And that awareness creates a small but powerful gap between feeling something and immediately acting on it. What's fascinating is that respect often changes the moment your relationship with yourself changes. Not because you become someone else, but because you stop treating every social situation as a test of your worth. The need to constantly prove yourself begins losing its grip. The fear of being misunderstood stops controlling every conversation. And little by little, people start responding to a different version of you, the version that isn't driven by old emotional predictions. The goal isn't to become emotionally detached or perfectly confident. It's to understand that many of the struggles you experience socially may not be facts about who you are. They may simply be patterns that have been running in the background for so long that they started feeling like reality. And once you can see them clearly, it's much harder for them to quietly shape your life without your awareness. Maybe the most surprising part of all this is realizing that respect was never only about other people. For years, many of us look outward for answers. We analyze conversations after they end. We replay moments in our minds. We wonder why certain people are listened to, why some voices seem to carry weight, and why others feel like they disappear into the background. It feels like a mystery hidden inside everyone else. But sometimes the mystery was never outside. Sometimes it lives in the silent stories we carry about ourselves. Stories built from old experiences, repeated assumptions, and emotional conclusions we stopped questioning long ago. The strange thing about the human mind is that it can turn a temporary experience into a permanent belief without us even noticing. And once a belief becomes familiar, it starts shaping the way we walk into rooms, the way we speak, the way we interpret a look, a pause, or a reaction from someone else. What if two people could live through the exact same social moment and walk away with completely different realities? One sees proof that they don't matter. The other sees a moment that simply happened. The event is the same. The meaning is different. And maybe that's what makes human behavior so fascinating. We are not only influenced by what happens to us. We are influenced by the meaning our minds quietly attach to what happens. Tonight, somewhere in the world, someone will enter a conversation and feel invisible. Someone else will finally notice a pattern they had never seen before. Someone will question a belief they've carried for years. And someone will realize that the version of themselves they've been defending may not be the only version that exists. Not because the world changed, not because people changed, but because awareness changed. And sometimes that is where everything begins. Before you go, take a second to ask yourself, how many of these patterns have been quietly shaping your life without you noticing? If this video made you see human behavior from a different perspective, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future content about psychology, emotional intelligence, relationships, and the hidden forces that influence our everyday decisions. And if you stayed all the way to the end, leave a comment with the words, "I see it now." It will be interesting to see how many people made it to this point and recognize these patterns in their own lives. Also, don't stop here. Click on the video appearing on your screen right now and continue exploring how the mind shapes behavior in ways most people never notice. And if you want a deeper understanding of psychology and human behavior, check out the playlist we've prepared for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.